Pushpin historical context. Scream Bloody Gore is the debut album by the band Death, led by Chuck Schuldiner, widely regarded as the father of death metal. Released on May 25, 1987, through Combat Records, the record is seen by critics and fans alike as the first true death metal album, establishing a sound that would inspire thousands of bands around the world. In the 1980s, thrash metal dominated the extreme scene with bands like Slayer, Creator, and Possessed. The latter is often cited as a death metal precursor with their album Seven Churches, 1985, but it was death that solidified the style with Scream Bloody Gore. Music score. Musical aspect. Guitars. Chuck Schuldiner's guitars, and Rick Raw's during early rehearsals, are fast, aggressive, with slicing riffs and chaotic solos. The use of power chords in minor scales, fast palm muting, and abrupt tempo changes pointed toward a new, more brutal approach than thrash metal. Drums. Chris Ryford on drums delivers a primitive but effective performance. While not as technical as future death metal drummers, his early use of blast beats, D-beat patterns, and aggressive fills helped define the raw and direct sonic identity of the genre. Mic vocals. Schuldiner's vocals are guttural, raw, and animalistic, far from the raspy vocals of thrash, leaning instead into the growl that would become standard in death metal. This vocal choice was crucial in separating death metal from its predecessors. Drop of blood lyrics and themes. The lyrics are inspired by horror films, necrophilia, death, gore, and graphic violence, often exaggerated to the point of parody. Instead of political or social critique, common in thrash, Schuldiner indulges in grotesque themes with a tone that almost feels like a tribute to B-movie horror. Examples: regurgitated guts and mutilation describe corpses and viscera in absurdly vivid detail. Evil Dead is a direct homage to Sam Raimi's cult horror film of the same name. The tone is not serious like in Schuldiner's later works, but rather a youthful, cathartic embrace of the macabre, almost fun in its over-the-top gore. Test tube production. Recorded in Hollywood with producer Randy Burns, who also worked with Megadeth and Possessed, the album features a dirty, raw, and lo-fi production, which amplifies its visceral impact. Though Schuldiner was reportedly dissatisfied with certain aspects of the final mix, the rough production became a defining aesthetic of the record. Skull. Track by track highlights. Infernal Death opens with the iconic Scream, Die, setting the tone with speed and brutality. Zombie Ritual, one of the most memorable riffs, mixes groove and speed with zombie-themed lyrics. Denial of Life alternates between mid-tempo and fast attacks, showcasing structural variety. Regurgitated Guts, among the most brutal tracks, also appeared on early demos. Baptized in Blood, fast and direct, almost grindcore in spirit. Torn to Pieces features riffing that hints at more technical future directions. Evil Dead, an absolute classic, displaying the album's catchier side. Scream Bloody Gore, the title track, encapsulating the album's aesthetic, brutality, horror, and chaos. Brain Impact and Legacy. Scream Bloody Gore is a foundational album. It was the first step toward what modern death metal would become. Bands like Cannibal Corpse, Morbid Angel, Obituary, Entombed, and Nile all drew direct inspiration from it. Although it sounds primitive compared to Death's later albums, like Human or Symbolic, this record is pure in its intent to create the most extreme and brutal sound possible at the time. What it influenced: gore-themed aesthetics and graphic lyrics, guttural vocals as the genre's standard, dissonant and brutal riffing style, a darker, horror-driven musical atmosphere, puzzle piece, technical critique and artistic maturity. It's important to note that Scream Bloody Gore still shows Chuck Schuldiner as an immature songwriter. The structures are often repetitive, and the lyrics are relatively shallow. However, the album's impact is more emotional and visceral than technical. Schuldiner would evolve significantly in later works, taking death to new technical and philosophical heights. Military metal. Conclusion. Scream Bloody Gore is a seminal work, raw, aggressive, iconic, the birth of death metal in its purest form. It's not an album for everyone, but for fans of extreme metal, It's a primal Bible of how it all began. Scream Bloody Gore didn't just scream. It created the language of the scream.